Okay, so yeah, so I basically grew up Muslim and Anglo-Indian, so lots of meat, lots of dairy, lots of sugar, lots of food. I mean, I guess in India we anyways do a lot of food. So I started, I mean, I remember I had all my milk teeth were completely rotten, and all my milk teeth fell out, and then all my um, permanent teeth were filled, because I was this sugar addict. I used to eat like the bottom of a cake, and for birthday parties my mother would get the cake for my sisters and me and everything, and 4 o'clock was the party, but the cake would come before, and I'd started eating the cake from inside. No cake
So you were one of those kids, huh? That got away with
totally.
it.
Everything.
I would get a smack on my hand.
I got a lot of crazy stuff for it. And it used to be, my mom could hide chocolates anywhere under the sun. And I could find them. So it was quite a tough task for her, because I was just this crazy sugar addict. I had to keep eating till, I mean, now we understand the term brain fog, but I didn't understand it then. I had to eat till I felt that. And that was the only time I could stop eating. So I grew up like that, and I think the problem started happening when I became a model. So I basically started modeling at 18, and I was traveling the world, and I couldn't understand my body, because I was hungry and I would starve, and then I would binge, and we had not much information in those days. There was nothing online, and I would see these films, these American films where everyone's eating the salad, and I'm like, how can you get full with this salad? How is it? And then the real problem started, I think, in my early 20s, where one day I was sitting in my house and everything was closed, and I felt that it was raining outside, because I had started getting arthritis, so my bones had started hurting. So that's how I knew that it was kind of raining outside, and that scared me, because I was like, I can have all kinds of other things, but I can't have arthritis at 20. I can't be feeling this. So I got into like really researching food and really researching health and everything like that, and started understanding, things, understanding my body. Like, I had no idea that I had never had a regular period, and I never knew that there was something wrong with me. And then it was diagnosed as PCOD. I had even then they didn't even diagnose it as PCOD. I just had like 18 different cysts, and I had big operations, and nothing was told to me after that. I just went on with life thinking that this is the way it is. So there's something about that. We constantly think that we only worry about things like diabetes and cancer and things like that. But all these small little ones, nobody really looks at. Everyone thinks it's okay. You just live with it. You keep quiet about it. You push it under the carpet. And these are not problems to be talked about, and not problems to be, even for ourselves, these are not problems that we have to be worried about, So so just going on like that. And but I was really interested in health. I was really interested in how to feel better, how to not feel lethargic, how to have better performance, how to do stuff like that. And it's just been a lifetime of learning, unlearning, relearning, and reaching. And every time there's like a whole new world that opens up. You think you've reached somewhere, and then you're like, wow, this is a whole part that I didn't see, and this can happen to the human body, and this can happen, So
yeah, and I think you were, when we caught up earlier, Madhi, you said there were some moments that were, probably pivotal moments in your life where you've seen
when I stopped
people
the dairy,
go through serious illness and dramatically change. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Yeah,
Because
so
I think
one was for me that, like I said, I'd never got a really regular period in my life, and I never realized that PCOD had so much to do with dairy. And I must have read something or whatever, and I decided to try it, and I decided to reduce the dairy, especially since it was mucus forming. I had read that it was mucus forming, and I used to have extremely bad allergies. And I reduced that. I reduced a lot of the wheat load. I reduced a lot of sugar, and boom, like that, at 35, I started getting regular periods instantly. It was so instant. It was not even funny. It didn't even take time. And I was like, wow.
So that's the miracle of the human body, that it heals itself.
Yeah. And
you just give it the right, you stop damaging it, and it takes care of itself.
So the body's just amazing. It just heals itself by itself most of the time. So in our health coaching circles, we have this we have this saying that says that if you have fever and you take medicine, it'll take a week to get better. But if you don't, it'll take 7 days. So it's the same thing. So pretty much most of the time we over medicate ourselves and all when the body can just heal. And then I had, like you said, I had close people who, somebody very close to me fell very, very sick. And again, with cancer, with diabetes, with heart disease, we have very big terms, that scare us because we don't know anything about it. And just learning to like one of the because we were faced with so much of like there's just this time ticking time bomb, and what is wrong, how did it go wrong. I just decided, one of the things I did, and that's the thing I always tell my clients to do, is just to step back and start giving the body as little pressure as possible. If you can do that in any way, even if it's mental, if it's emotional, if it's physical, and if it's with food. So if you can instantly stop doing it, because the body's still living. Like a lot of us think that our bodies are the other way around. We think of it as a weak thing and that we are constantly giving it stuff to keep alive. But it's actually the strong thing that we are giving stuff that actually starts repressing it,
Yeah, yeah.
So
It's almost like our education
completely the other
system,
way
huh?
around.
We were
Yes.
smarter
Yeah.
before we went to school. But
Right.
going back to those cases, I'm curious to know, because you've talked about a number of very common diseases these days.
Yeah.
Cancer especially.
Yeah.
Do you think there's a pattern over there where all of the I don't think all of these people could have been binge eating or overdoing sugar or anything of that sort. What was your understanding of the commonality in all of them, and what did they
Right.
change?
So they usually say that there are three main reasons why you would probably get it. One is genetic, your genes, it's passed down. Two is the environment that you live in, and three is your lifestyle. And what we try to do first is, because we can control our lifestyle, we try to attack that first and try. That's why I say step away, give your body as little pressure as possible. Take out the things that are causing it pressure, whatever way. And second is your environment. So try and keep your as much of it. If you're, and a lot of times you can't control your environment, but try your best. I think sometimes when you start doing stuff, you realize there's a lot more you can do to your environment. And thirdly, which is one of the most important one, which is very interesting, is your genes that nobody thought that you could control. And it was passed down. But now there is this whole field of epigenetics in the last 30 years, I think almost 30 years now, that tells you that if you start changing your lifestyle and your environment, you can actually change the way your genes express itself.
That it's so logical when you put it that way, because if you think about it, let's say one generation above me or two generations above me, there was some history of heart disease. But guess what? Before that, there was no heart disease, no?
Yes.
Why do we assume something genetic is a life sentence, It's just like it came on.
It's just expressing. It's the way it's expressing. It's the way your genes express it. And which was a game changer for me. That was something that was amazing, because I was like, you can change literally anything.
Yeah.
Pretty much anything, if you make the right effort, and if you do stuff the right way, anything. Like, a lot of people come to me and they're like, oh, I have these diseases and stuff like that, but don't tell me to stop doing this. Don't tell me to stop doing it. And I'm like, you know what? Your body's crying out. If you stop doing it for a little while, like that, just that little bit, few months, 1 year, it'll, like, your body will bounce back like never before. So for that morning cup of tea, or for that one thing that you want to eat, why would you do that? It's just
okay. So I'm going to ask you two very important questions, because you have really touched upon the main difficulty. Okay.
Yes.
We are now in an era where eating well, living well, taking time out for yourself, self-care, health focus is, kind of well understood. People have also, I think these days, when I went plant-based 9 years ago, it was relatively new, especially in India.
Yeah.
But now people have really understood what this is all about, and everybody is curious. But the big problem is, what does it take to change? Everybody knows that
what
habits
is right, what is good.
Lifelong. You said chai, and guess what I have right here? This is chai. Now, having said that, it has no dairy, but it's still chai, and it's still acidic in my body. And how, what do you want people to eat, and how will they enjoy eating it? Food is a part of our life.
Yeah.
But before you touch on that topic, I know you told me when we spoke earlier that once you feel the wellness, then your motivation to do all of this is like easy. So what
Yeah.
is this wellness you're talking about? I mean, do you feel different from I do? I don't know. I mean, what
Yeah,
is
I
this
feel
wellness?
extremely different. Like I know one thing, I can only talk about myself. So
Yeah.
I feel much, much, much healthier than when I'm now 45. And this was when I was 30. I feel so much better than when I was 30. I know the feeling. I know the difference in the feeling. I know how I wake up every morning. I know how I sleep every night. I know the quality of my sleep. Everything is so much more, everything is brighter and bigger and lighter. And and like I was telling you before, like every time I let go of something, every time I let go of something that was detrimental to me, to me, or to the functioning of my body, there were things that just lifted, and once they lift, you realize so many times we live our lives, 95% of us are living with pain of some type or the other. A lot of
You
times
know,
we know it, and many times we don't realize it because it's just been there. There's just been this
that's an
need.
important point you're touching on. What is wellness? Other than even just you talked about very subtle things, but these are the game
Yeah.
changers. It's like the quality of your sleep. It's like
Yes.
how you feel when you wake up,
Yes.
right?
How you feel
It's
when you wake up
all
is
of
very
these
important.
little things. But have you seen some dramatic shifts, like
Yeah.
where you could look at this and say, you know what, I made this change,
Yeah.
and this is the outcome? Have you seen that in somebody or in yourself?
Yeah, for sure, right? I never slept well. I'm a very light sleeper. I've never slept well. Everything under the sun disturbed me. And it used to be a stress because I have to get so many hours sleep because I have so much work in the next day. I mean, before the sleep happens, I'm stressed out about when I'm waking up. We're just constantly like, oh my God. And it's just this cycle. And I see this in a lot of my clients. I see them constantly worried about everything. I have to count calories, I have to count steps, I have to count the number of hours I sleep, I have to count this, I have to count that, count the money in my bank, I count everything. So I'm constantly like just this, it's just like I'm this mathematician counting this whole life. And I have no faith in my own body. I have no faith in myself or listening to myself. I have to listen to somebody else or something else to be able to tell me what's going on. So the shifts they're huge. When you're I just don't know how. I mean, okay. Let me give you one example. Maybe the 4 o'clock slump in
Yeah.
the afternoon.
Oh, yeah.
Doesn't everybody know that? I don't get those. I don't get a 4 o'clock slump. Isn't that huge enough?
That is
That's
huge.
Yeah. If you
Four
don't
o'clock
get
is a very dangerous time. You take me anywhere close to the
that's
fridge or the,
that's the worst part of your
the
day,
kids'
right?
snack
Because
area.
yeah,
It's
yeah,
decimated.
and you've done amazingly till 4. You're pretty good. You're
Yeah.
quite in control. And 4 o'clock,
Yes.
everything
Yes.
just gets boom, right? Because you're
But it's
quite.
also these other things you're talking about, Marie, that we all tend to live with. For example, I am the sort that gets frequent colds. I'm the
Yes.
sort that gets
Yeah.
headaches.
Yeah.
I'm very prone to constipation.
Yeah.
I have knee pain.
Yeah.
And these all things we just assume are our own individual gifts,
Yes.
so to speak,
Or that you've turned
non-gifts.
40 or you've turned 50 or you're reaching menopause. We constantly like to associate it with stuff like that. Even that was something that I was like, I always thought, oh my God, once I reach 40 means that's the end. And I didn't want to be like that. I did not want to be in that state that I reach 40, because everyone would always tell me this, once you reach 40, it's going to be so much harder to lose weight. It's going to be so much harder to keep weight off. It's
Yes,
going to be so much
yes,
harder to move. But it's just years, it's decades of accumulation. It's
yeah,
decades of accumulation, not only of our habits and our food, it's mainly our emotions. It's
yeah,
that is our primary food. we've
yeah.
been eating we've been eating negativity, keeping it, storing it, annoying, all our disappointments, all our shame, everything just gets piled up. And then that's when, like, by the time 40 and 50 start coming, and that's when it starts manifesting a lot, because your body can't cope with that, right? So doing the mental work is very important. And secondly, I would really think that, I mean, we constantly look at food is looked at with a microscope, but we don't look at, like I said, the second point as to why people get cancer or lifestyle diseases is the environment. We don't look at our environment. We don't look at the air that we breathe. And we think that outside is polluted, but many times our houses are much more polluted than much more polluted than the outside, because we every single piece of furniture that we have exudes formaldehyde, exudes different gums, exudes everything. It's closed. A lot of times it's air conditioned, so it's just circulating, and you are just, that is what you're ingesting. That is your food. You're just ingesting that constantly, 24 hours a day. So that can cause,
Formaldehyde. I mean, that is
yeah,
what you expect to get in the hospital, not in
yes,
your own
yes,
house.
yeah. So things like that, and then we add perfumes everywhere. We sanitize. We think we're sanitizing the air and everything like that. That all these things your body is actually dealing with. Your body has to get rid of each and every of those molecules for you to live, and we don't realize that. And those are the things that cause it. I mean, the amount of EMFs we have. We just have. We're like boom, boom, boom. And people wear these watches. It's like having a phone stuck to your face 24 hours a day, and you don't need, I mean, you don't need that. Do you need that? You don't need that. So if you can reduce stuff like that, you'll start seeing your body recovering a lot faster than anything else.
Yeah, that is, I'm sold. I'm sold. So what is it, Marie? I mean, tell me if I were to start on this path, right?
Okay, so I'll
Okay, in
give you
my
like
case, for
5 or 6
example,
things. Should I give you
I've
five or
left
six?
dairy a long time
Yeah,
ago. I was
yeah,
always vegetarian. I
yeah,
understand that, you don't use much oil or any kind of
yeah.
fat. But what would my day look like if I were to be on a path of wellness to really, let's talk food first, and then we can
Yes.
talk about other things,
So
but
I'll give you a
specifically
few
for
things.
food, because to me, that's the game changer, isn't it?
Correct.
Because
Yeah.
it's a cultural thing.
Yeah. No, if I tell you something like, oh, you know what, you have to start, your mental work has to be a lot more, people will be like, oh, no, it's too much work. I'm not getting into it. But the good thing, even though food is, for me, it's secondary nutrition. For me, primary foods are your emotional well-being. But for me, even though food is secondary nutrition, I attack that first. I start trying to sort that out first, because that's a much more achievable goal, and that's much more, people can understand that a lot more, and that's a
Tangible.
lot,
Yeah.
it's much more tangible. So one of the so the first things that I change first and foremost is to try and close in eating windows. So I know intermittent fasting is very famous nowadays for the wrong reasons, but we eat way too much and way too many times in a day. And just like our exercise, just like our mental work, just like our sleep, our body is dealing with each of those things are functions for our body. Our body can't multitask those all the time. So we need to start giving our body more time, less time of digestion, more time to do healing, more time to repair, more time to rest, more time to rejuvenate itself. So that's one of the biggest things that I start doing. I start doing basically understanding your eating windows. So not, definitely not, just understanding that the body doesn't need food all the time. Like people wake up and like 6 o'clock in the morning I have this lime leaf, and 7 o'clock I eat this, and 9 o'clock I have that, and 11 o'clock I have that. You don't need to do that all day. So we try and close that in very slowly, not suddenly. Secondly, start including a lot more raw foods into your diet. So this is a tricky one, because people tend to get very technical very fast. People will be like, oh, I can't eat carrot with cucumber, cashew nut is fattening in the night, and all that starts happening. But what I would say is that, if you like, now if I have reached a place with my food where I can start getting technical about it, because I have reached that place, my body is okay with that, and I'm able to understand that a lot more, because my body is functioning a certain way. But when somebody's getting into it, just eat, the only thing you need to count is the colors that you eat. Just start eating the colors of the rainbow. Count did I eat 30 colors this week? Did I eat 40 colors this week? These are the only, you just have to be like, is there purple, is there blue, is there green, is there yellow, is there, let me just get excited about colors. Start putting in more and more colors, and stop cooking those colors down till they die. Okay, those colors need to live. Okay, so start slowly.
This right there, right there, I think you've hit a very important point for us to understand how culturally we've been used to some things. I mean, take
Yeah,
any curry, right? You take
yeah,
bengan bharta, or you
yeah.
take a spinach,
Right.
or anything.
Yeah,
The first thing you think of in food is how well it has been smothered,
yeah.
cooked
Cooking it
down,
down.
put oil, put
Yeah,
spices, and it tastes damn good. I mean,
yeah,
that's what it's really good on the tongue.
yeah,
But when you sit back and you look at the theory of it and you say, my God, that carrot,
Yeah.
it's so full of nutrition. There's a
Yeah.
reason when you look at it, it's appealing.
Yeah.
I mean, you see it fresh in the market, you just want to pick it up.
Yeah.
It's so good. And then we do all these things to it,
Yes.
instead of just
Murder it
eating
where
it
it doesn't
slowly and
taste.
digesting it.
Yeah.
That is really,
So
so you're saying colors of the rainbow. So
yeah.
if I had a variety of raw in my day or in a
Yeah.
week, right? If I
Yeah.
just kind of
Yeah.
went through the
Right.
colors in a week, I'd be doing better than nothing
You'd
at
be
all.
doing a lot better. So, and then it has to balance. It depends. So a lot of people are like, you know what, raw foods don't work with me. I get gas, I get this, That's because of the environment. Your body has been keeping you alive with whatever you've been giving it, right? And it's trying to digest and keep you safe. So the bacteria in your body has been, the flora and the fauna in your body is developed according to that. So now you're going to start changing that flora and fauna just because more nutrition that you can get from a carrot, if you can get all the nutrition from that carrot, you're eating less. Your cost of
Mm.
food becomes less. Everything starts becoming less because you're getting enough nutrition from that little bit instead of lots of it and getting that same amount of nutrition. So being able to do that, so being able to start slowly cooking stuff down a bit. So for example, I can give an example of the bhindi that I make. So I make the masala like how you usually make it. I'll put in some onions, I put in tomato, masala, whatever. I cook that properly. And then I dump in the bhindi and I just switch the stove off and I cover it. So for me, bhindi tastes good now, crunchy. Do you know that you can eat bhindi raw?
Yeah, I didn't
Bhindi
know
tastes
this.
fat.
I just
Bhindi,
found out. I had no idea.
yeah. So bhindi tastes fabulous raw, and it's one of the best cures of acidity. So eating
Oh.
2, 3 raw bhindis a day will actually cure your acidity. It will actually help a lot with your acidity. So yeah, it doesn't taste bitter. It doesn't taste yuck. It tastes fine. So learning to cook vegetables. So like I still make South Indian food at home a couple of times a week. The vegetable is cooked just. You're just putting a little tadka and just cooking that. It's still crunchy. For me now, that has become the norm. So it's just your tongue. It's a tiny little piece.
Mm.
It takes 2 days. It takes 3 days. You will start liking this. You will start loving this. You will start enjoying it. And then of course,
I believe you fully because there was a time before 9 years ago when if someone told me what were the two last things I would eat if I was on, it was my last meal, I was on death row, it would have been curd rice and coffee. Okay, I was that desperate for that, and when I switched, right, certainly there were cravings for a few days and I
yes,
switched for ethics, animal ethics. I
yes,
just could not imagine. I had no
yeah,
idea that's what was going on with
yeah,
cows and things like that. I just grew up thinking that
yeah,
cows gave milk. I did not know that all that happened. And people, if you're listening in, if you don't know, then you can Google it. But what I realized is exactly what you said. After some time, not only do you not crave it, it positively tastes almost bad in memory.
Mine. I tasted brie a few months ago. It tasted awful, and brie was something that I was like loved brie and
Yes,
loved burrata. I would travel the world and I would eat it, and now I can taste a cow. I can taste the cow. I'm
you're
like,
so
yeah,
right. So, the coffee, I have had once someone gave me some really good filter coffee telling me that the cows from their house and everything. So I ended up having it. And for the first time, I was shocked at
yeah.
how it
It's
changed,
amazing how it just
that it
hits you.
tasted disgusting. The same thing that it would have been my last meal.
Yeah,
I mean, curd rice and pickle to me is heaven, right?
yeah,
And I
yeah,
could not have dairy curd anymore. So you're
yeah,
right. I think it's a matter of training. And then
yes.
once you're trained, that's the new normal and that's what you
Yes,
like.
and that's what you like. It's completely fine. We will not miss. It took me 3 days to get off tea, and
Oh,
yeah, it just took me 3 days. And I used to have a bucket of tea to wake up every morning. It wasn't it wasn't something that I never thought life could go on without it.
The
So the
interesting
food.
thing you point out, you just said you needed a bucket of tea to wake up. It's an interesting thing. So we eat food and we sleep for wellness. Why is it that when we wake up, we need
We
the
want to
tea
get.
or coffee to get
Yeah,
going? Obviously, there's some depletion in what we have
yeah,
done, not some
yeah,
addition, right?
right.
So not only is it just addiction, there's also some definite because you need that
It's
caffeine hit.
it's a very mental thing. Food is very, very mental. It's very emotional.
Yeah.
I mean, before I had low blood pressure, I remember making my smoothie in the morning after my exercise and I'm feeling faint. And now I'm eating 4 hours after I've come from a really heavy Pilates class or really long yoga session. It doesn't even make a difference in my life. So it's very mental. It's good to start getting into it. It's number one thing I would tell people is to start having a dialogue with yourself. So journaling, start writing, start going through that. You once awareness starts happening, a lot you'll make leaps and bounds of understanding your body, understanding what you like. Other things, so yeah, so the food and getting stuff more raw, it's okay, mix your raw and cooked, do all that in the beginning. Don't even stress about it, just think about that. You're
Right.
getting that, you are getting that
Right.
in you need the fruits, vegetables, nuts, seeds, your greens and your whole grains are your medicine. You need to eat that as much as possible, and then you eat anything else that's fine for yourself to, on your weekend, whatever, enjoy yourself. You're not going to die. But uh, like I explained to you yesterday, making sure that you're surviving, like your body survives anything, but moving from surviving to thriving, moving to being happier, moving to being more alive, that is your goal. It's not about living for 100 years. It's not about all that. It's like, even if you live for 2 years, it should be without pain. You shouldn't be injecting yourself. You shouldn't have lifelong medicines. You should wake up in the morning feeling good. Those are the things that are more important than anything else. You need to be thriving.
Yeah, I think we have seen in India that wherever you go now, seen this especially in Tamil Nadu. I don't know so much about elsewhere, but there are things called diabetes clinics everywhere. Okay, they were not
Yeah.
there when I was growing up.
Yeah.
And you start wondering,
And
especially
it's going to
during
get
the time of
worse.
this pandemic, right, where
Yes.
people with comorbidities were
Yeah.
really now to worry more because it just
Yep.
meant that, regular medicine wasn't going to save you.
Yep.
So if you're, the earliest you start, obviously the better, but it's never too late because you just said
Right.
that the body can really turn things around. And you have seen people that have gone to the other end of the
Extent
spectrum being
of
terribly
no
ill,
hope. No hope. I've
no
seen
hope
people like,
situation to back.
yeah.
Imagine that is the situation to come back. I mean, that is just astonishing what the body can do.
Huge. It's
Before we go
amazing.
ahead, I want to show people some pictures of you because that really, they're also, so hold on there just a bit. And we're also going to share some recipes
We're going
down
to
the
share
line.
some recipes, some simple
And
recipes
there,
uh, with stuff that you can use. And feel free to swap the sweeteners, feel free to swap, eat, do whatever. Um,
okay, so is that your Reformer Pilates?
yes.
Oh, wow, look at that. And you look exactly like the lady in
And
the back
yeah, I'm
over
trying
there.
to copy her. I'm trying to copy her, but I'm nowhere close to where she is. But yeah, look at her. Look at where her legs are and where mine are. So
Hilarious. All right. Can you see all the things I'm showing?
yes, I can. Oh,
There
you're
you
asking
go.
others?
And that is just, I mean, look at you. I mean, that's wellness on your face with a background of nature and that
Yeah, and that's
fantastic
another thing that I tell
food.
people, always take help, feel free to take help. Your health is an investment, it's not an expense. So I have one of the best trainers ever. I am so happy. I mean, she's changed my life. I have really good support systems in places that I'm not great at. Like, I'm not great at movement. I'm not one of those who's ever been athletic. But having somebody there, having somebody who understands your problems, having somebody who will push you the right amount is so, so important, that you who understands you. Those are things that's an investment and not an expense.
We'll talk more about what you do when you speak to people and also what you offer people so that people
Yes.
have an idea. I don't see anything related to your not being athletic, etc. Look at you.
I
Look
was
at the
very
fitness level. That is fantastic. Yeah. So we'll get now. Here's some of the vibrant food you eat. That's another myth, isn't it? That you just eat ghas poos and
yeah,
you
the
don't
boring
have
those
exciting
boring
food. But
salads, those boring
I mean, look
salads
at
and that
this.
smoothie.
This is like, and we'll talk more about this, I assume, when you
So
talk about your
it's not
offerings.
shifting for me, it's still staying there.
Oh,
I
where
can
are you?
I'm still at the exercise.
Oh, I see. Okay. Let me just. Um,
Is everyone seeing anything else?
let me. Now, are you seeing some
Yeah,
shift?
yeah, yeah, yeah. Now it's
Okay. There you go.
So yeah, so most of my food, like if you see the one in the square, the rice one, that's red rice poha, and I switched up the potatoes for sweet potatoes. We don't eat potatoes at home anymore. We do sweet potatoes because I find it more nutritious. I've put in lots of raw mango, lots of coriander, lots of lemon zest, lemon juice, and that's like super powered poha.
Wow. I
So
mean, who
yeah,
would have thought
yeah. So
instead of
that's a
just rice?
big part of my life. That I make my own desserts at home. That's my vitamin water. I have it over here as well with me. I make vitamin water. There's an avocado mousse. There's a mineral dip. The mineral dip. So a lot of times the reason why I really like superfoods is because we don't know about the quality of food that we're eating, and it's definitely sometimes it's a lesser quality and may not. Every apple is not the same. Every carrot is not the same. So it's great
Can
to
I ask
have.
you if you're not, are you, when I do forward and back, are you able to see it or?
No, I can just see the screen right now with all the pictures.
Oh, you're only seeing all the pictures. Okay, there is a problem over here. All right, we'll get back to this later.
Yeah.
We'll get back to the dialogue. I am actually doing a screen.
Yeah, shifting. Yeah, it's not going.
Yeah, so you're not
Yeah,
seeing that. That's
so
why you could see the whole folder.
yeah.
All right, no problem.
So
So tell us more about now. What is it that you do? I know you're now a health coach, which is just
yeah.
fantastic. I mean, I really want to start
Actually, we
myself on
didn't
this
stop.
journey.
We didn't stop talking about the few things to do. So one of the things, like I
Okay,
said, include the raw foods because people will be like, you started this and didn't stop it. So include much
all
more
right,
raw foods into your diet,
all
fruits,
right.
vegetables, nuts, seeds, greens, in any way. You want to cook it down, cook it down. Try and cook it less and less every week. And a lot of like try and do one raw meal which does not have salt, does not have sugar, does not have oil. So one meal if you do, and no grain. So if you do one meal like that, the other two meals can have it, and you'll still see a big difference in your levels of health. Another biggie is tongue cleaning. Okay, so tongue cleaning is really important because like your tongue is this little squidgy, wet, like a wet carpet, and that keeps getting all these food particles in it. And if you don't clean it often, it actually helps with cravings. So a lot of times you see after a long weekend where you've indulged, you're hungry on Monday again. It's because it's still tasting that. And just think of and imagine the amount of bacteria that can form there and everything, the squishy wet carpet. So it's really important to clean your tongue and basically oral health. So oil pulling, stuff like that. And like we said, sleep, hydration, rest, recovery, stepping back, very, very, very important. Some movement every day. Even if you can't move and you're debilitated and you have like, maybe some of y'all have like, your parents have little wires inside them and kidney, you're constantly into, there are bags and stuff like that. Just putting your legs up against the wall every day for some time, just getting that blood moving up and down. That is a big game changer. Getting a foam roller, rolling stuff, moving stuff around, getting massaged. Things like that are very important because you're just getting the body move. Of course, if you can do yoga is the best because the yoga starts squeezing all your internal organs.
Organs.
It's getting everything moving. So you're just helping the body do what it does best. So that's really great. Spending time outdoors, very, 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 very important. Spend time outdoors as much as you can. Try and get out of town as much as you can. Spend time in a garden as much as you can. All that is very healing to you, much more than you will realize. Reading under a tree, grounding, all that jargon that you read, extremely important for you. Counting colors, not calories. Do not count steps. Do not count carbs and proteins and blah 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 blah. Do not count all that in the beginning. Just count the colors. Just start counting your colors and moving from surviving to thriving. So that is basically what my first few pointers would be.
Marie, these are very exciting. I think the key part though is to sustain this.
You will if you have enough rest. If you
So tell me
I
now, I
mean
think that
the
is
difficult
where
part. I think the difficult part is dealing with your emotions. So you need to accept that and start dealing with them.
yeah, yeah.
And
I
then
think
all these come.
that is an important part, isn't it? And that's why it's important to understand what is it that
Yeah.
you do when you take
Yes.
people on to hold their hand and guide them on this journey.
Yeah.
As you said, that would be an investment in ourselves. So I presume people can just write to you if they want to
Yes.
go further on this journey.
Yeah.
But talk a little bit about what you offer,
What my
and
programs are.
also
Yeah.
the fact that it's not just food; it's
Yes.
all these other things
Yeah.
as well, and
Yeah.
especially the mental work. I mean,
Yeah.
so much of this is in the mind.
Yes.
I'd love to hear a little bit about your offerings.
Yeah. So I have a one-on-one health coaching program where I come into your kitchen and I clean it up, and I do the best thing that can happen to you, because luckily we all have help. Most of us have help in our houses, and I think one of the main things to get into, it's easy to make a potato bhaji because it's one potato. It's just easy to make that for the whole house. But if I tell you to make this salad, which has 20 different vegetables and it's spiralized, and then you're getting the greens, and you have the nuts and the seeds, and then you're like, ugh, okay,
Yeah,
next,
exactly.
tomorrow. Okay. And how do I get it all? And then it all goes bad in the fridge, and then I don't have the right dressing, and blah blah blah. So what I do is I come in, and my team comes in, and we teach the help how to start cutting stuff, how to start storing stuff, how to keep it there, so when you come home it's there, and then you can whip up something much easier. I think the prep work is the most important part. So for you to be able to get into that prep and understanding how, like, once the prep happens, making that effort to learn it or teach it to people around you, and just getting into the habit of doing the prep is what we teach you to do. So that, because that's a sustainable thing, because a lot of us, every one of us has done diets, every one of us has gone to dietitians, everyone has got the thing, we've done it for a month diligently, then some wedding happened, something happened, somebody um, got sick, somebody got alive, somebody died. I mean, everything happens, right? So we tend to then the first thing that goes is the quality of our food, and we tend to just order it or compromise on that. So I teach people how to. So I do a one-on-one program where we do that, and I do a lot of one-on-one mental work sessions. We deal with reflect. So we all have these situations, right? Like with our husbands or our mother-in-laws. Before they say something, you know what they're going to say, and you're already pissed off, and you know what you're going to answer, and it goes into this circle your whole life. Okay, it's like this little hamster wheel that just goes on, and that's the thing that causes more damage to you, because there is no way out. You're constantly so learning to change that narrative. So I teach you how to change narratives, how to navigate situations differently, so that your eating becomes a lot less emotional and a lot happier for you. So I do these one-on-one programs we do it for a couple of months, because I'm there to hold your hand throughout different situations. And
I don't know if you have thought of this yourself, Marie, but you just sounded exactly like Marie Kondo of wellness. Marie Kondo, she's a whole declutter
sparking
queen.
with joy. I'm
Spark
sparking with
joy.
joy.
So you're doing true spark internal joy, wellness joy. Named coincidentally Marie, but think about that, because that's what
Yeah,
you're
I'm
doing, isn't it? I
sparking
mean,
with
it's
joy.
amazing that you come into somebody's kitchen and actually help
Yeah,
them transition, because it's one thing to hear it and it's a whole
yeah.
different thing to apply it. And
Apply
it
it.
just makes
Yes,
it that much simpler if you're coming in and
right.
saying, how do you get to do this easily? It's like
Yes,
you already know what to do. So that is,
yes.
wow. Yeah.
So we do that first, and then of course we deal with a lot of mental work, and then I overlook things that in case you need a professional to help in different directions in your spirituality, in your exercise, in your relationships, in your career, whatever it
Right.
is, we start navigating that and trying to fit it in, so that your food is not getting affected every time something happens in your life, because
Right.
things happen all the
Right.
time. But how do we stay true to who we are? How do we keep our dailies? How do we tell our bodies that everything is okay all the time? We don't suddenly we're constantly shocking our bodies otherwise, right? So how do we not shock our bodies through that? So yeah, that's one of the things. And one thing that started off from my clients, a lot of my clients loved the idea, but they wanted me to supply them something. So I started this 3-day cleanse for people to get into it, for people to transition into eating more plant-based, and to understand that, you know what, hey, it's only 3 days, and it's surprising how I can work out through it. I can go to work through it. I feel so much more energetic at the end of it. And it was 3 days of not eating grain, not eating any animal product, not eating lots of salt, not eating refined sugar, and I feel really, really great, right? So I do a 3-day cleanse every month, a small batch 3-day
So
cleanse.
what that means is, Mani, that you actually supply the food to
Yes,
people?
I supply people the food for those 3 days so that they
Okay,
can
so
get,
everything from morning to evening, whatever I would eat,
yeah,
that would come from you
you
for three
collect it
days.
every day. Yes.
Oh my God. So I suppose that's applicable only in Bangalore.
So that's in Bangalore as of now, and
Yeah.
then and still small batch because still my kitchen, but I'm hoping to get. I'm moving to a commercial kitchen soon. So I do. So that's another one I do, and then I do a lot of corporate. I getting into corporate programs where I do a lot of online. We do online classes, online recipe demos, and I do online. Q&A, and we send mails every day. We send inspirational different mails every day. We also monitor your food journal and basically get the momentum going for a month or 245 days, where we see everybody try out those recipes. We send ebooks, and all the ebooks have all the details as to recipes, where to find them. We give you we will give you vendor books. So where can you get this stuff? A lot of them are with discounts, and we have a lot of giveaways. So we do that so that people get very encouraged as a group in corporate environments, because everybody really wants to be healthy at the end of the day. It's nobody wakes up in the morning and is like, I don't care. Everybody deep inside wants to be healthy and wants to
Right.
live, you know.
Right.
It's like I recently read this where it was like, you know, you everybody knows that you will die for your kids, but are you willing to live healthy for them? I
Yes.
thought I was like, wow, yes. I mean, like everybody really does, right? But it's just the work seems too much. It seems too much. So that's where I come in and show you that it's not, it
How
is
it's done.
achievable.